So when we have to go and fight and trace money, and we do all the time, we have brokers are 60 days out, 70 days out. We have to stay on the phone and fight with them to get our money. It makes it hard sometimes. Cash flow, sometimes gets a little closer than you want to. But they don't care.
How do we pay you?
You guys pay. Look, you guys are you pay within 7 days. You guys are awesome. You guys we had some bills get lost or something. You guys paid me before I even got you the bills. So,
Man,
I mean, it's just because we have we do over $2 million a year with you
I
guys. So,
know, I know, and that's why I called you, because even though I didn't deal with you on a personal level, when Luke was brokering, he was brokering my freight. Even though I wasn't communicating with you, I knew who you were. I know we've got a good thing going, and we're not going to ruin it, right?
right.
It,
What you guys do for me, I have a responsibility too, of course, to keep you guys take care of your customers, and you guys know that. I got a driver. I hate to say this, but this is something that we have to deal with every day. I got a driver in Kentucky, got pulled over for DOT check this morning, and he had a ticket in 2013. He was driving for another company. I don't know what it was. Anyways, they arrested him, so he's in jail now. So there's my truck sitting there at the truck stop with produce on it. We call to bail him out, give a credit card bill out. Oh, you'll have to come and give us cash. Well, it's in Paducah, Kentucky, and I'm in Lakeland, Florida. So getting cash ain't going to be up there anytime soon. So we called a bail bondsman, but guess what? Kentucky don't have bail bondsman. They made them illegal like 5 years ago. So we're in a position trying to figure out how to get this guy out of jail so I can get my produce delivered. And it either here the guy should have paid his bill, but still the fact is we had no way. He's not on our. When we do our check, we check our drivers, and we do it every week. We got reports where our drivers may have something on them and stuff, and there's nothing on that says anything about this ticket. So I finally found a friend who has a friend in Paducah, so we think we're going to give them a flea check there. He's going to get him out after 4 o'clock today. That's the game plan. But that's just something we have to deal with every day, silly stuff like that.
well, I think it's unfortunately, it's always been a part of the industry.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. That ain't new, but it is part of it.
No, it is, and everything's just getting harder, more expensive and harder, and the
Yep.
the reward has to be there too.
And, and frustration on my side, you know, the fuel's up. Everybody knows the fuel up, but the rates are going down. I have my reasoning why I think it is. You may be different, but I think the market's flooded with trucking companies right now and independents. I mean, I don't want any ill will to them, but last year everybody was making money hand over foot, so everybody decided to be a trucking company. But there are people, they come work out of big companies to start their own stuff. So I don't know if it added or what, but we got to do something.
Yeah, I think that I think there's some new capacity or new companies, but from what we're seeing, the majority of the people in the industry that are newer left larger companies. So we don't have more drivers.
Yeah, it's like they didn't vaporize out of space, and now they're
Right.
all. I I don't know. I don't know. Uh, More people, there's more competition for the value. If you have 5 people try to get one load, chances are it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, there's virtually no spot market now, though.
No,
And that's not because of a whole bunch of influx of equipment or drivers. I think the economy has slowed down at a much more rapid rate than anybody anticipated. What that means to us is that there is no real spot market per se of any volume, and when there is, capacity is loose enough to swallow it up at low rates. Even with the high fuel, I think fuel and line haul are two different parts of the equation. I think the line haul is more indicative of supply and demand. Fuel is more indicative of the economic state of the country.
why do you feel the supply and demand are less now than they were a year ago?
Oh, I think the economy is going. Everything we've shown shows shipping volumes down, Consumer confidence is down. I think for 2 years we had a artificial market. We had an artificial market that was supported by us, the government dumping $5 trillion a year into the economy, creating an artificial market. So when that stops, which it has, and the economist that I had on a few months ago, or say a month ago, Dan North, stated that that was the right thing to do when COVID hit and the pandemic, but they did it for 3 to 5 quarters too long, which is digging us an even deeper hole.
Right.
So I think for you and I, what that means to us is customers were ordering and buyers were ordering everything they could get their hands on because they weren't able to get stuff. They weren't able to get products to sell or for their customers. And they were previous to that on a just-in-time business model. And as it got more difficult and it didn't get better after the first of the year, they bought everything they could for current sales options and planning for a banner future sales options. And the market tanked on them. Well, with inventory levels no longer at just in time, at just in case. And you're seeing a lot of the big companies and small companies alike, but a lot of the big retailers are liquidating and getting as light as they can for third and fourth quarter. So they're taking losses now. The Targets of the world and a lot of the companies are taking losses to get the inventory moved because it's only going to get worse the longer they wait. We're seeing a major shift in volume across the board with all of our customers. Almost all of them are down in volume.
How long do you think this is going to last?
Oh boy, that's a great question. How high are interest rates going to go? So there are two things from Dan North stated that he watches from an economic perspective. If you go back through and you watch any of the previous podcasts, he said consumer confidence in spending is half of the equation, and the other half of the equation is government's policy from a financial perspective. When both of those are down, the economy is going to continue to go down when that happens and we have the ability of going negative into recession. So they're saying our overall economic perspective here in this country, GDP is an average of 2%, give or take, over the past 50 years or whatever. It always averages out at about 2% is the average. Well, last year we had over 6. This year's going to end up positive of norm just because the first quarter as it was coming off and then the second quarter as it was coming down was going to. So Dan said he would expect, and he goes out as far as 18 months. So he said he would expect things to trend back to the norm. And Mr. Costello said the same thing. Still positive, the economist for the ATA, but I think that's probably a month or two premature of what everybody's saying, but it's still going to go on the books year over year as a above 2% year. It might end up in the 4s because every time I hear about it, they're lowering the number. So I think we're going to have 12 months, maybe 18 before we really get to a really good spot, because Dan stated that it takes 3 to 5 quarters for anything that the government does to impact us across the board.
Right.
So if they change policy, it's 3 to 5 quarters before we really feel it. And if consumer spending or consumer confidence in the economy changes, it's 3 to 5 quarters before we really start to feel that positive.
Okay, so that is on the economy side of it. Fuel is our biggest problem right now. When do they think the fuel, what you're talking about 12 to 18 months before the fuel drops back down to a operating rate? I don't think they ain't attached, are they?
No, what I think the issue with fuel is very simple. It's a refining scenario. It's an equation based on refining volume. The number of refineries there are now are less in the North America than there were, or United States, than there were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. So, and it's not just here. That's the diesel fuel shortage is not just here, and that's a global market. Everywhere in the country or everywhere in the world, all the different countries are all fighting the same problem on diesel fuel. It's actually worse in Europe because a large percentage of their cars are diesel in Europe, on top of the commerce equipment.
Yeah.
So they're in even a more difficult position than we are, but there's other things to it. It costs more money, and you get less out of a barrel of oil to make a gallon of diesel than you do a gallon of gasoline. That's
Sure.
about 11% more.
Right.
So understanding that, however, I do believe government policy plays a role, a major role. I think this is an overall issue. Couple that with the drilling companies used to be incentivizing drilling new wells, and now the oil companies are incentivizing profit,
Right.
and not drilling more. So you got two things there. We're not drilling more wells than we used to, and we also can't refine more. Even if we had it, we can't refine more than we have in the country.
You think we put build a couple refineries, and this is just a whole different world here. I mean,
Open up the pipelines and build another refinery or two or three in
Yep.
strategic areas, and
Yep.
and then let's get it going. Here's the thing: that's a global thing. So then they'll want to sell our oil offshore, and we'll pay the global market price, right?
Yeah.
So back to your question, I don't know how long it's going to be, but we're watching it like a hawk too, and it is your largest expense.
Right. Like I said, it's basically doubled.
Yep.
And there's nothing on the freight side. If even if the economy the way it is now and what freight's paying right now, if our fuel would drop back down to a common sense level, common sense maybe not, but to a normal level, we would be fine. The rates right now, if we use that fuel rate, the rates would be actually good.
I think we got to make it through the tough spell coming. Which
Yeah.
we will. We're consistent people. We're smart. But you stay in touch. I appreciate you coming on so much. Definitely look forward to having you on again in the future. We'll get future updates from you, Billy, if that's okay.
You can call me anytime.
All right. Thanks for being on Stay in Your Lane with Triple T Transport.
Hopefully I give you some information or helped you out.
Absolutely. This is what we're looking for.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.